We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, all right, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani.
My name is Roland.
And we're here this morning to talk with you, to share something with you that could be extremely helpful. Hope that you're having a great week thus far. We started a series on yesterday about opposite sex friends in a relationship, and we're continuing that conversation today. Is it okay? Is it not? We've been getting text messages and emails saying, oh my God, this is exactly where I'm at. Continue the conversation. We got to keep talking about this because my wife or my husband or my girlfriend or my boyfriend. So obviously it's a hot topic because whether you're married or not, it's an issue. It is a significant issue that we need to dive into. And people are really, suspect. People are suspicious when it comes to these opposite sex friends. And so we're going to continue that conversation. But listen, folks, before we get started, make sure you take the time to like, share, and subscribe. Let the people know that we are here. Share this conversation with as many people as possible. Before we get in, as you know, next, the second weekend, July 8th through the 10th. People are still signing up. Last Chance Weekend. We want you here. We want to help make a difference in your life and in your relationship. So make sure you go to the description portion of this particular video. Click on the link that says Last Chance Weekend. Find out more information. But before we dive in, let's share a quick testimonial of someone who has been impacted by that experience. And then we'll come back in and dive into today's topic. Stay right there.
Hi, my name is Kalia Harris. I am from Fredericksburg, Virginia, and this weekend for me has been absolutely life-changing. The first day was extremely difficult. I had spoken with somebody before I came, and they said it was going to be hard, and I had no recollection of just how hard it would be. And actually, the second day that I got up, I said I wasn't coming. And I told my husband I wasn't coming, and he said, just believe in the process. And the entire time I've been here at Couples Academy, everybody has said, just believe in the process. And on day 3, the process has come full circle. And I did not think, I have a lot of work to do. My husband and I have a lot of work to do, but I did not think that I was going to leave here loving my husband more than I ever had, more than the first day that we said I do. But I love him more today than I loved him the day that we said I do, and I am definitely committed to this process and the next process and the next process until we get it right. And I highly recommend, if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence and you're I don't know, I highly recommend. Everyone here at Couples Academy believes in the process. They believe in their core in marriages, and that comes across in whether you're eating a meal together or whether you're taking a walk or whether they're talking to you about a process. Everybody here believes in marriages, and it was so amazing to be a part of something that was, I don't know, it's magical. I don't know how else to explain it, but that everybody here believes in you.
That's right, folks. That's the last chance weekend. If you're looking for transformation in your marriage, or you're sick and tired of the situation that you're in, do what she did. She showed up with her husband, and what was so powerful, man, she fell in love with her husband all over again. Like, she came in just such a disconnected space and found hope, healing, restoration, and the journey continues. So make sure you get in there. They became friends again. And that's kind of what we're talking about today, because the importance of being friends with your spouse. See, a lot of you love your spouse, but you don't like your spouse. You're not friends. You spend more time, you spend more conversation with others than you do supposedly your best friend, which should be your spouse. I mean, it sounds good to say, yeah, my spouse is my best friend. But if we look at the reality of it, are they really? Are they? And so, because oftentimes there are deficits in that relationship, we fill up those plugs, or we fill up those holes by connecting with other people. And then that's how the slippery slope begins. So, I'm excited today because we're going to be diving into some conversations about this whole need for opposite sex friends, and whether it's a good thing, whether it's not, whether it compromises it, whether it doesn't. And as we said yesterday, listen, I can't tell you what's good for you. That's something that you and your spouse have to decide together. But as long as you are on one accord, that's all that matters. Now, I will say, if you've been through any type of betrayal or hardship or major trust issue, you may want to push pause, get your relationship together first before you begin to introduce others in. But once you're in a healthy place, if you think it's okay, then we think it's okay, as long as you have rules and parameters and a code of conduct in place that ensures that you remain in integrity. But before we dive in, I want to share some statistics that I came across about some of the complexities involved when you have opposite sex friends. Because we've said this before, when you think about most betrayals, they don't happen with strangers. They happen with people that you know. So there was a statistic that I just came across. It says just over half, 53.5% of those reporting extramarital sex said that they were unfaithful with someone that they knew well, such as a what? Close friend. About a third of affairs are with someone who's somewhat well known, such as a neighbor, a coworker, a long-term acquaintance. That's about 29.4%. The rest of affairs occur with casual acquaintances. Now, look at this. 53.5% close friends, 29.4%, right? These are people who are acquaintances, long-term acquaintances, right? Someone who we're somewhat familiar with. And then the rest are casual acquaintances. In every single case, there was a relationship with a member of the opposite sex. Let's go to the next. Americans who admit to having extramarital sex most likely cheat with a close friend. These partners possess or provide inherent qualities, including emotional intimacy, closeness, friendship, support, etc. This is done by the University of Colorado Boulder's Department of Psychology and Neuroscience. So here we have again statistical data and research that would conclude, if you're going to have friends, you better make sure that you do it right, because if you don't, it increases the probability. Now, these are not just we're not just giving you information that's supported through science and through research and from studies, but this has been an overall theme that we've even seen even in the movies. Like, as we engage in entertainment, there have been these themes. Check these movies out. How many remember these movies, right? The first one we have is Friends with Benefits. How about that oldie but goodie? I may be aging myself. Some of you have seen this. When Harry Met Sally, right? There's another movie, Zack and Mira Make a Porno. Or how about this one? I know many of the women have seen this, My Best Friend's Wedding. And in all of these movies, there's this resounding theme where a man and a woman come together and they're just friends. And because of their association, because of time spent, because of conversations, because of these connections, what was platonic oftentimes became problematic, and before you know it, they were caught up in something that they did not anticipate. In most cases, there's not this agenda to go out and seek what is inappropriate, but we wind up in inappropriate situations because we didn't have proper boundaries in place. So I hope this is building a case for how cautious you have to be. Not that it can't be done, it can be done, but there's ways in which you do it that are effective. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, we have our friends and we call them they're safe. Well, anytime you cross the line and emotions get involved and intimacy gets involved, then you're in a danger zone or a unsafe friendship. And we have to be careful because oftentimes we're spending time with people that we call friends, whether they're friends of the family or whatnot. If we don't have boundaries set up around our marriages, if we don't have it like Fort Knox and have a clear understanding of what that looks like, we start spending too much time with our so-called friends, and then we find ourselves in situations that are complicated. And we've made them complicated because we did not have those boundaries set up.
I think that's absolutely right. Boundaries. I like the term you use, Fort Knox, right? And I think that's important. And we talk about this all the time. You have to establish government in your household, and you have to have walls of protection around your marriage to prevent things from happening again. Two quick comments before we go to a break. Ben Scott said, "Good morning. There's always, he says, sexual tension in opposite sex friendships on one side or the other." Now, let's pause right there. He's absolutely right. I say this all the time. The reason why a man and a woman become friends, they become friends by default because there is no mutual attraction. So it implies that there may be an attraction that one has for the other. And so that's why they're friends, because it's not a mutual attraction. When it's mutual, that's when we go down this slope, right? This negative spiral slope into a pit of problematic relationships that could lead to affairs. Women keep dude friends as backups, commonly known as, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, hypergamy. So no to opposite sex friends. Okay. Also, we have Kimberly who says, "Good morning. Now that we are both 40 plus, I don't trust new friendships with the opposite sex if they were not childhood or college friends." And so, we're not saying that it can't be done. It can be done, but you have to be very careful about the way that it's done to make sure that nothing's being compromised. Listen, guys, we're going to continue this conversation on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. But we want you to put in the comments right now whether you believe it's okay to have opposite sex friends, and what rules, what guidelines have you and your spouse put in place, if at all, that would protect you from something going horribly wrong. Stay right there. Be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Hey, folks, we're back. We're talking about opposite sex friends while you're in a relationship. Do we do them? Do we not? I love what Jaila said. She's actually saying Fort Knox. I like that. Yes, yes, yes. Very true. Shalee says, I suggest that even when no sex happens, the closeness and intimacy that happens is just as devastating and traumatic to a marriage. And I think she's talking about this whole idea of we did a series on micro cheating, right? Micro cheating, another way of saying that would be close call friendships. Another way of saying that would be emotional connections. And so here's the challenge. If you're in a relationship with someone who defines infidelity or betrayal as sex, right, it has to involve a physical interaction. Anything outside of that is no big deal, right? But the reality is, when you even look up the word platonic friendship, the word platonic by definition means to be intimate with and to have affection for, void of sex. Now think about that. I've got a platonic relationship with my coworkers. I've got a platonic relationship with my trainer. I've got a platonic relationship with thus and so. But if platonic means to have an intimate and affectionate relationship void of sex, the question is how intimate or affectionate would you allow me to be with your spouse without sex? See, you'd have a problem with that, right? And if we wouldn't want anybody to be intimate and affectionate with our spouse, why can we justify being intimate and affectionate by opening up our hearts and opening up our minds and having a connection and having great conversation and being able to connect in ways that we don't with our spouse and thinking that that is okay? That is the beginning of the slippery slope that we're trying to avoid. And so these are the things that we have to be mindful of. Roland.
You're taking all the words out of my mouth right now, because I'm reading a phenomenal book, Not Just Friends, and it talks about the slippery slope. And she says the new crisis of infidelity today is platonic friendships and workplace relationships that are turning into emotional affairs without premeditation. Because again, when we take these opportunities to have these close call relationships or close call friendships, they do get emotional, they do become intimate, and that leads to problems. I mean, you cannot find a way to listen. Any relationship outside of the marriage, they cannot trump your marriage. There's no relationship that you can have that's going to trump your relationship with your husband or with your wife. And that's why we have to make sure that we're not just lovers, but we are friends. Because when we're best friends, I don't want anybody coming in between our friendship. I'm not this. We don't have to negotiate whether this relationship is more important than this one. We already know the most important relationship, and we have to continue to protect that relationship. So, we have to be careful when we want to have all of these friends or so-called friends, because it's if they're not a friend of the marriage, they're not a friend at all.
Boom. Felicia says, I believe that having those friends just leaves an open door for when something happens between you and your spouse.
Yeah.
There's someone else, friend, waiting in the shadows. And if that's not the truth, I don't know what is, because we said this before. We said this actually yesterday, that interestingly enough, when people divorce, it's quite interesting. If they remarry, they're remarrying a friend, either a friend of the spouse, right, or their own friend. And so that's so true what's being said. Here's a statement in the comment I want you to speak to. Monica says, what if your spouse says that he has no friends, but there are females he talks to, but they are not his friends?
I don't know. That's kind of like an oxymoron. Either they are or they not. And a lot of times we have the mannerisms as the niceties to push the envelope. We have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to not try to minimize what we're doing. We work in environments, and because over time we are in co-ed environments, but there's still a level of integrity that you need to walk in when you're dealing with the opposite sex. A lot of times, the new thing now is work wives and work husbands. And that is so problematic because we want to call it work wives and work husbands. The problem is they don't stay at work. You bring them home with you, with your attitude, with your emotions. They become a distraction. And so when they become a distraction at home, and you call them work wives or work husbands, you talk to them, but you don't really talk to them. We're just playing games. We're just leaving that cracked door open. So that way, when the work wife is always present and the housewife begins to act up, or the house husband begins to act up, I'm running to work. I have to work late. I'm doing extra hours. I want to take on an extra project. See, we keep playing games and we keep making things so accessible, right? We are initially, I mean, like, just making things accessible for ourselves to do the wrong thing, and we're trying to stay away from doing the wrong thing.
So true. So true what you're saying. The whole work wife, work husband thing, it's a trap. And it's a term that has been used so loosely, but it really speaks to work wife, work husband. Is there something more than the regular relationship that you have with your other coworkers? What was it
Mm-hmm.
about him or her that drew you two together where you consider yourselves work spouses? There's a lot of comments that came in. I want to jump into. Miss Jules says something powerful. She said, married people need married friends where everyone shares the same values, love, respect, trust, and honesty in their marriage, that they hold each other accountable. And I absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, agree. And this is why it's so important that if you are a married couple, you have other married friends, shared friends. Now, listen, Danielle's got her girlfriends. I've got male friends, and that's okay. But they don't compromise the integrity of our relationship. Number two, they're same sex. But it's good to have relationship and interaction with the opposite sex, but it's got to be in a healthy environment. So likewise with you and your wife Janella, when we get together, listen, we're all friends, and it's a safe environment. When Gonzalez and Jewel and us get together, we're family, we're friends. And so, yes, in the proper context, friendships are okay. But you're not going to have me reaching out to Danella separate from you. Like, if anything, it's going to be a group text. I'm not texting her directly, having casual conversations and connecting with her. I'm not doing that with Jewel. I'm going to Gonzalez, because there's got to be protocol that's in place. And when that protocol is broken, that's when things begin to shift.
You hit the nail on the head. See, we have fallen away from the principles of the basics, and we have to go back to the basics of things. When you talk about protocol says, I'm not going to talk to your wife. Let me talk to the head of the house. Let me talk to the man of the house. Let me talk to the woman of the house. Hold on. It's a female coming to me. Yes, I have integrity. I have morals. I have values. But hold on. Let me get my wife and let you talk to her directly. We have this fine line, and it's a very thin line, but we want to just tiptoe around the line, or feel like, oh, we can handle it. It's no big deal. And as soon as we start taking everything as no big deal, it's not that bad, then that's when it becomes that bad. We cannot be so loose with our words and with our movement and with our activity, because only thing the devil needs is one little inch. He will take a yard.
Oh
He
man.
will he will take whatever you give him. You give him, one word. Oh, he's gonna take that word and make a sentence, and then it becomes a paragraph, and now it becomes your story. And we want to stay away from letting the devil write our stories.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Charles says, happened to recently. Her just a friend is now her BF, best friend. Now, months later, she seems to be realized that she has made a mistake and wants to be back with me. Okay. So in essence, this just a friend who became her new BFF, the relationship went too far and now she wants back. And so this is what I'm saying. It's very problematic. And I think this speaks to the next point that's being said. They have to be friends of the marriage. We have to both agree on the friendship. And if one of us is uncomfortable with the person, they are cut, right? Like a losing basketball team in the finals. You are hilarious. But that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. These are the things that are important. And it's just like, listen, guys, like, why are we still struggling with this? The fact that married couples still struggle with this today is a problem. And typically, what you have is one person in the relationship who is very adamant and more conservative when it comes to opposite sex friends. The other spouse may be more liberal. What's the big deal? I don't see the problem with it. And so, therefore, they're not in alignment. And so, any individual, even if they're not bad people, because not all people have ill will. But the point is, if we're not in alignment, then we're going to look at every regular person as problematic to the sanctity of the relationship. And so at the end of the day, where do you and your spouse stand? Are you in agreement? Do you both believe the same things? Is your approach to the opposite sex the same, or is it different? And so even when there's nothing officially wrong that has been done, there hasn't been a betrayal, there hasn't been inappropriate interactions and conversations. If we're not on the same page, I'm going to treat what you did, even if it's casual, as problematic, as a betrayal, as a setback, as a violation, because we're not on the same page. And that's ultimately what needs to happen with these couples. When that happens, then now you have the safety and the comfort and the protection that is needed to restore that relationship.
It's just the bottom line. I'm looking at one of the comments, and it says charity begins at home and then spreads abroad. We have to make sure that everything that is being done, we have to protect one another. We think that protecting our wives or protecting our husbands is just a matter of, oh, physically, I'm not going to let anybody, do this to my wife. I'm not going to let anybody do this to my husband. Well, we have to protect their emotions. We have to protect their feelings. And how do we do that? We have to live integral. We cannot allow friendships to mess up our marital relationship. And that's what begins to happen. Anytime you leave the crack door open, someone is going to come in. They're going to find a way to well, we're just friends. You're not just friends. You're not just friends. If they're not a friend of the marriage, as we said before, then they're not a friend at all, period.
And so to that point, here's a great question. What do you do when you're not in agreement? Okay, so this is very common. And this is beyond the friendship conversation. Oftentimes couples just aren't in agreement about a number of different things. And so there's a couple things you can do. Number one, you need to sit down and have like a real conversation and unpack, why each other feels the way that they do. When we use this marriage negotiation worksheet, it really gets to the core of the issue. It understands each person's perspective, but then it becomes a solution oriented conversation where you really put as many options down on a piece of paper that you negotiate through so that you can get on one accord and come into alignment with each other. So if you have problems resolving conflict and you're not in agreement, use that tool of the marriage negotiation worksheet because it works wonders. But the second thing is this. I may tune a deaf ear to what you say. Like, yeah. I hear you. I know you. And this is why community is important. And this is why having other couple friends in your life is important. Because sometimes you can hear from someone else what your spouse has been saying the whole time, and it hits you different. You have a different understanding. You have a different perspective. That's exactly why I love the last chance weekends, because when you have a bunch of couples coming together, they feel validated by other people's situations and comments and struggles, because they're like, see, that's what I've been trying to tell my wife or my husband all along. See, and so the reality is when you step outside and seek wisdom in other places that you both submit to, because that's what Danielle and I had to do. When we were not in agreement on certain things, we said, you know what? We're not hearing each other. Why don't we come together and submit to someone else's wisdom, someone else's authority, someone else's expertise, and take that information back into our relationship? And it helped us in so many different areas of life. Another thing I would do is become a student of the thing that you're struggling with. Why don't you read an article? Why don't you read a book? Why don't you watch a couple of videos that really talk about what impact opposite sex friends can have on a marriage? Am I just being insecure and paranoid, or is there something to us? Survey says, statistics say, the study says, and when we're open and teachable, we may realize, wow, okay, I get it now. I'm willing to receive something that I didn't receive before that can change how we do marriage. These are the things that are necessary to do. Now, listen, we've run out of time. We're beyond our 30 minutes, but I want to talk about tomorrow. same-sex friends. Now that's rolling. That's where a lot of couples are struggling as well. It's not just about that floozy over there or this joker over here. What about the same-sex friends that I have a problem with? Tomorrow's show, stay tuned. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.